and welcome to day 2 of your workout for the reset. My name's Nicole and I'm your trainer through the program. So today we are going to be doing some work on core strength. So we've got a variety of different exercises for working your core muscles. And as I've explained in the previous workout, the core muscles, it's not just holding your breath in or putting your stomach in, it's engaging all of your core muscles in the center and the core of your body, and we're going to get into that today. So first up, we're always going to do our little warm-up just to get a bit loose in the body and to move through and create some space before we go into the actual workout. So we're going to go down to the mat and work through some mobility. So starting with our cat-cow. So we're on all fours, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, and we're going to lift the chest, lifting the head up towards the ceiling, arching the back, shoulders away from the ears, and then we're going to push through the hands, curling the spine and flipping the hips the other way. And again, lifting the head up. Really enjoying this movement. It's so great, especially after you've been curled up in bed or by a desk, tucking the head under, and then last time. So we're effectively closing up the spine in this position, and then when we flip it around and reverse it, we're opening up the spine. So it always feels really nice. You can have a little wiggle there and just create a bit of space in the lower back as well. Then we're going to lift the right arm up towards the ceiling, and we're going to do thread the needle. So the right arm is going to come through, ear comes down to the floor, palm facing the floor and stretching through. And this is great for your upper back because it's again creating some space in the upper back muscles, especially when we've been hunched up through the day or through the night. It just creates a little bit of extra space. Last one, reaching up nice and tall and then reaching the arm through, bringing the ear down to the floor. And then swapping over to the other side. So left arm goes up towards the ceiling, and then we're reaching through, ear coming down to the floor, reaching up. So nice and fluid with the movement. You can use the breath as well. Breathing out as you relax into the movement, into that mobility, reaching up, and then threading through, ear down to the floor. Then we're going to go for a hip flexor stretch. And we're going to push through, so front leg, right leg comes to the front and just reaching up. So I know that we're doing core today, but it just really feels nice. We're going to do some work with the hips as well. So it just feels nice sometimes to open up the hips. Arms straight up here, pushing into that front leg, clasping the hands behind and lifting the chest as we're going through that, pushing through into that front leg and opening up the left hip flexor and swapping over to the other side. So reaching the arms up, nice and tall, bringing the arms down, clasping behind the back, pushing into that left knee and opening up the right hip flexor. So from here, we are going to go down to the floor completely. And we're just going to do a bit of a spinal stretch, a twisting stretch, because we've got a couple of little bits that we might benefit from that. So starting on the back, going to lift the right knee, left leg is straight and flat on the floor, and then we're going to twist over to the side and looking over to the other side. You might get a tiny bit of a click there, which is completely fine. And just relaxing the opposite shoulder down to the floor. And then we're just going to go for the other side. So right leg is flat along the floor, left leg is bent, twisting over to the side, need a bit more room, and just twisting over this way. So we're just trying to get a little bit of space in that lower back and in the obliques as well. So nice deep breath in and breathing out, letting it all go. So let's get straight into it. So first pair of exercises that we are going to do are our plank and our dead bug. So the plank, there's a few different variations that we can do. We're going to do 2 sets of each exercise, and I'll show you the progressions and the regressions of each exercise that we go through. So with the plank, The way that we're going to do it is we're going to do it on the hands, but you can also do it on the elbows and you can also do it on the knees as well. So the way that I'm going to do it here is on the hands in this position. So nice flat line with the body. So thinking of a line from the top of your head to the tip of your tailbone, nice flat line with the spine, hands underneath the shoulders, and the bum is in line with the spine. So we're not here, we're not piking here, and we're not dipping into the lower back either. So nice strong line with the spine. We can also go into an elbow plank, which is a little bit harder, and we've got our elbows underneath the shoulders. You can clasp the hands or you can have them flat here, whichever feels better. And again, the feet are going to support us, and we've got a nice flat line with the body. So we're not piking up here, and we're not lowering and curving in the spine here. Nice flat line. And then if we wanted to do a regression, so if we weren't quite up to going for the full plank, we can go with the hands flat on the floor, again underneath the shoulders, and our knees are supporting us rather than the feet, which is completely fine, and we hold it here. So we're going to do the plank for 60 seconds, 45 to 60 seconds. We're going to aim for 60. The dead bug. So with the dead bug, it's a really nice, gentle core exercise, and there's a few key points that we have to keep in mind as we go through it. So we are going to have our knees over our hips, and we're going to have our hands over our shoulders. So nice straight arms, and we're going to alternate in which we bring down. So left arm and right leg are going to go down, and then they're going to come back up to meet each other, and then left leg and right arm go down, they're going to come up to meet each other. So that's the exercise, and we're going to go through that for 1 minute. Key things to remember is that we want the shoulders away from the ears. So we don't want to hunch up here. We want to keep that space between the shoulders and the ears, and we want our arms quite nice and relaxed. So even though they're in a straight position, we don't want to be reaching up here. We want our shoulders down on the floor, and we want some space between the shoulders and the ears. And then we also want to keep our lower back pressed into the floor. So wherever we can go with our lower back pressed into the floor, that's completely fine. If you can only take your leg down to here, that's fine. We don't want to have this. Because we're working our core and practicing our stability and trying to strengthen that stability, we want to make sure that we're utilizing the core as much as possible. And if you're unsure about where how your lower back should press into the floor, you can tilt the hips. So if you tilt the hips forwards, that's usually where the lower back will create some space, and it'll be hollow here. And if you push the hips back, then you'll be able to see that that gap is closed. So we want to close that gap, so that's forward, hips back, here. So let's start with the plank. We're going to go for 1 minute, 45 seconds to 1 minute, but we're aiming for 1 minute. And I'm going to do the hands. So we're going to be on the hands for my plank. So finding that position with the hands, finding that foot position, and off we go. So nice deep breaths in and breathing out. So utilizing that breath as much as we can, pushing through the hands, so nice active hands, pushing the palms down into the floor. Deep breath in, breathing out, and making sure that we're taking notice of how the core feels as we go through this exercise. So breathing in, deep breath through the nose, breathing out. You should be able to feel your core muscles engage. We're halfway through. Deep breath in, breathing out. Got 20 seconds left. So using that breath, it's getting a little bit harder now. It's starting to feel really warm through the body. Last 5 seconds. Deep breath in. And breathing out. Nice. So coming down onto the back for our dead bug. So it's a little bit more relaxed, but we're still working, especially making sure that our core is engaged and our lower back is pressed into the floor. So 3 minutes, and then we will go for our dead bug. So dropping opposite arm and leg down to the floor and then coming up. So nice and in unison. So dropping down and coming up. So nice and relaxed, pushing that lower back into the floor, moving my water bottle out of the way, taking your time. And then once you get into the rhythm, we can start to add in the breath. So breathing in on the way down, and then breathing out on the way up. Got a little bit of the shakes there. Just using that breath to control it. So doing really well, just keeping that concentration. Keep using the breath, taking your time, not rushing through it. There's no rush to get through this exercise. It's timed. Let's see if we can go for as long as we can. And relax. Nice. So we're going to do one more set of each of those exercises. So one more set of the plank and then one more set of the dead bugs. So just taking your time, there's no rush through the dead bugs. And I know that it can seem that we're kind of wanting to get it done, especially if we've got a limited amount of time, but just find some time and just, you know, feel your body and feel how your body feels through each of those exercises. And if you need to regress, then you can regress. If you want to move things forward, you can. So just keeping those things in mind. There's no rush. The body doesn't need to rush. We can take our time and move through it. So in 15 seconds, we're going to go for our plank, and I'm going to go for the variation on the hands again. It's what I'm feeling today, but you can go for the elbows and you can also go for your knees down as well. So let's get into it. So finding that position with the hands under the shoulders and then feet supporting us. Nice flat line with the body. Deep breath in and breathing out. Nice strong start. Pushing the hands down into the floor. Active arms. Deep breath in and breathing out. We're more than 15 seconds in. 15 minutes, imagine. Deep breath in and breathing out. We're nearly there. We've got less than 20 seconds left. Deep breath in. Starting to get the shakes now. It means that we're working a little bit harder. Deep breath in and breathing out. Last few seconds. Deep breath and letting it go. We can shake out the arms. Get rid of all of that tension through the arms because we want our arms nice and relaxed when we go into the dead bugs now. So coming down onto the mat again. So feet about hip width apart and rolling the body down and just finding that position. So knees above the hips, hands above the shoulders, and making sure that our lower back is pressed into the floor. And let's go for it. So breathing in on the way down and out on the way up. Nice and relaxed. Just keeping that lower back pressed into the floor. So this is a nice one actually in the morning because it's kind of getting your brain into gear with all the coordination that we've got. So taking your time and using that breath, letting the breath drop in and out of the body nice and easily. We're nearly there. Last 14 seconds. Taking your time. Do one more on each side. and relaxing. So just pulling those knees in towards the chest. You can rock from side to side to take a little bit of that tension out of the hips. And then we are coming up for our next pair of exercises. So the next two exercises that we're going to do are a side plank and a bird dog. So the bird dog is kind of like the flipped over version of the dead bug, and the side plank is obviously, pretty sure most of you have done a side plank, and I'll take you through the variations of this as well. So with the side plank, we again really want to make sure that our body is aligned, so on a nice straight line, whichever variation we end up choosing. So if we come down into an elbow side plank, we're here. So again, nice flat line from the top of my head right down to my feet. We don't want to be here, we don't want to be here. Nice straight line. If we go for a hand variation, which can be a little bit trickier, again, we want to make sure that we are in a nice flat line. Requires a little bit more balance. We can either have the feet stacked or the ankles stacked like I am now, or to make it a little bit easier, we can cross them over. And then, as always, we have the knee version. So the knees are supporting us and we are here. Hand can always be on the hips, or it can be up here. So whichever you find easiest is the one that you should do. So with the bird dog, so slightly different. We're on all fours for this one. And again, hands underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips, and opposite arm and leg again. So we've got that coordination under control now. So we are lifting opposite arm and leg up. So again, nice flat line from the tip of my fingers right down to my opposite toes, and then just coming down. And then again, same position, nice flat line, tip of the fingers to the end of the toes. And what we're trying to do here is we're trying to keep it as steady as possible in terms of our core. So core's here, and obviously we're lifting one side and opposite sides, so we could have a tendency for everything to kind of collapse here. But what we want to do is we want to embrace our core, so all of those muscles in the center of our body, and ensure that we're as still as possible in the center of the body, and as still when we replace the hands and the knee. So again, we're going to do 60 seconds for the bird dog and 60 seconds for the side plank, which can be a little bit more challenging, but we can just see how we get on for each one. 45 seconds to 60 seconds would be great. So see how you get on, see how the body feels, what it's capable of doing today. If you wanted to push it a little bit more, you can. If you're not feeling it, that's completely fine. So I'm going to do the elbow variation, and we are going to start in 3, 2, and 1. So we're here, keeping that flat line with the body. Deep breath in, and breathing out. So the side plank, obviously we're on one side, so it makes it so much harder. Deep breath in, and breathing out. You should be able to feel your core muscles working, but also your obliques, your side abs. Using that breath to drive you through. We're halfway through now, halfway through. We'll have a little mini break in between each side, just so we can recuperate. We're nearly there. We've got 20 seconds left. Just keeping those hips lifted as much as you can. Deep breath in, breathing out. It's getting hard now. It's getting a bit spicy. And 3, 2, and 1. Whew. I can feel it all along here, which is such a good feeling. I always feel like everything that's abs and core related, if you're feeling it, it's like, oh, like I've worked in the places that I want to. So little breather, and we'll go for the second side. So you can either obviously turn over to the other side, or you can just do it here. I'm going to face you because I don't want to have my back to you. So we're going to come down onto the elbow and we will go in 10 more seconds. Just give us a little bit more time to adjust and to recuperate. And 3, 2, and 1, coming up into that side plank. So with the side plank, you're probably going to have one side that feels a little bit better than the other, or a little bit easier than the other. But that's life. We're always going to have one side that's stronger and one side that we're more confident with. And that's why it's so important to do single-sided exercises, so that we're giving that space, giving each side an equal opportunity to work and not rely on the other side. Deep breath in and breathing out. Starting to spice up a little bit now. So just if the hips start dropping, just try and lift them up, try and stay into that nice straight line position. Last 10 seconds, we are nearly there, and then we'll go into our bird dogs. Deep breath in and breathing out, and 3, 2, and 1. Woo. Okay, so we are going for the bird dogs. So what we can do is we can actually have a little bit of a play around just to mobilize the back a little bit if it feels a little bit stiff, which mine does today. So hands flat on the floor, and in 10 seconds we will go for our bird dog. So opposite arm and leg, reaching forward, reaching back, and then coming back down to the starting position and trying to keep as still as possible in the middle. And let's go for it. So using that breath, nice and calm, as if you've got an apple on your back and you don't want to drop the apple. And then coming down, so breathing in, deep breath, breathing in, and breathing out. Using that breath. So nice and relaxed. It's worlds away from the side plank that we just did. Coming down, breathing in, keeping those flat lines. And we've got 10 more seconds. Nice and easy. And last side. So that's the first part of our second set of exercises. Let's have a little breather, grab some water if you need, which is what I'm going to do right now. And as I said, you know, with core exercises, everyone has such a different feeling, and through different phases of our life, we're going to feel differently about them as well. You know, if we've had any kinds of major surgery, if we've had children, there's so many different reasons as to why your core might feel stronger at some points than others. But it's really important that you just keep working on it, and it might feel like, oh God, like this is hard. Even if you can do 10 seconds, 15 seconds, every time you do it, you're going to build up and it's going to feel better. And then you're going to gather that strength that you once had, and maybe get even stronger than you once were. So always important to keep that going. It's really important that we do that. So we are going to go back in for our side plank, our last side plank on each side, and then we're going to go in for our bird dog. So this next time you can obviously change. If you started with the knees on the floor, you can go into a high side plank, or you can go into the elbow, whichever way and whichever feels good for you. I'm going to go for the elbow plank again. I feel like that one is good for me at the moment, and we're going to go in 3 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. So keeping that nice position, nice flat line with the body. We're 5 seconds in, nice and chilled, thinking about what we've got later on in the day, try and take our mind off of this side plank, which can be a bit challenging. But no, we're 20 seconds in, so just keep breathing, nice deep breaths. Deep breaths in. We're halfway through, and then we will be swapping over to the other side. Deep breaths in and breathing out. So letting that air go. 20 more seconds. We can do it. It is getting very, very spicy now. Last 15 seconds. Deep breath in. If you feel those hips dropping, just try and hoist them back up again. Nice flat line with the body. 5 seconds, and 3, 2, and 1. Feels so good to come out of that position. So a little breather before we go into the last side. And then we've got our bird dogs to finish off with. So 15 seconds, we're going to go for it. And yeah, as I was saying, if you start to come down into, you feel your hips starting to sink in, you can always just lift them back up a little bit. I know it's hard, but it will definitely be better in the long run. So 3 seconds, 3, 2, and 1, and coming up into that side plank. So bringing that shoulder back. Sometimes it can want to drop forwards and help us, but let's bring it back and keep nice posture as we go through. 15 seconds in. It's going a bit quicker on this side, which is good. So deep breath in and breathing out. Nice deep breath and breathing out. So letting it go. We're nearly there. We've got 25 seconds left. Just 25 seconds, a little 25 seconds. Deep breath in, breathing out. Last 15 seconds, lift those hips if they've started to drop. Last 10 seconds. We're nearly there. Last little bit, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Okay, little breather, and then we will go into our final bird dog. So just coming back onto that all fours position. Nice deep breaths in and letting the breath go. And we are going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So going in, reaching out each arm and leg, trying to think about that apple that's balancing on your back that you don't want to drop down. And coming down, so nice deep breath in and breathing out. So moving through really nice and calmly, almost in like a meditative state, which I do find that some of these core exercises, they can put you into that, which is quite nice. And thinking about the breath, when does it want to drop back into the body and when do you want to breathe out? I always breathe out on the more challenging parts of the exercise, kind of use it as a push to either stabilize myself or to just take me through the movement. And coming down. We're nearly there. Last 10 seconds. Nice deep breath in. And last one. Nice. So moving on to the next pair. So we are going to go for our third set of exercises, which are a single leg deadlift, which I know that some people do find quite challenging, and we're going to go for a back raise. So let's talk through the single leg deadlift. So positioning with the feet, we want to make sure that the feet are hip width apart, and I do say this a lot, but it is really important that we keep the hips level, and having a bit of space between the feet does ensure that that is the case usually. So feet hip width apart, and we want to relax the knees a little bit. We want to have the chest lifted, shoulders back, nice tall spine, head reaching up towards the ceiling. Then we want to shift our weight into one of our legs. So the working leg is going to be our right leg, which is the leg that's going to stay on the floor. We're going to lift the left leg off of the floor, and we're going to take it behind us. As we're doing this, we're tilting the torso down so we're opposite the floor, parallel to the floor. So here and then coming up. So we can put the hands on the hips, or they can be by your side, or you can have one hand out, whatever feels comfortable for you. So a little bend in the knee, the torso comes down till it's parallel on the floor, and coming up. What can really help with the balance here is using the breath, again, bracing those core muscles, but also spreading out your toes on the floor and really pushing down onto the floor itself and almost gripping the floor with your toes. So nice flat feet and gripping the floor with your toes, lifting up nice and tall, and then just sending the hips back. So little bend in the knee, sending the hips back, and torso coming down parallel to the floor, coming up. With the back extension, we're going to come down to the floor, back raise. So we're lying flat on the floor for this one, and we're going to have our arms again at that 45-degree angle. So it's kind of almost, we're using the ears as a guide. So if we see where the ears are, if we just tap the ears, that's the position that we want to be in on the floor. So coming down to the floor, and you want to make sure that your hands are in that 45-degree position, a little bit of space between your legs, and you want to squeeze your glutes. The reason you want to squeeze your glutes is so that we can protect the lower back. If we squeeze the glutes, we're protecting the lower back here. So here, and then we're raising up as much as we can, keeping those glutes squeezed, coming right down, coming up as much as we can, coming down. So those are the two exercises that we're going to do. Single leg deadlift, and we've got our back extension or back raise. So let's get into it. So we are going to go for 30 seconds on each leg for the single leg deadlift, and then we're going to go for 30 seconds of back raises. So starting with the right foot as our working leg, take a step back so I don't face plant the plant. So we're starting up with our chest lifted, left foot behind, hands on the hips, or we can have one hand out, and 30 seconds from now, coming down towards the mat. So really using the mat as an eye line. Wherever you look, that is going to give you your stability. So if you want to think about keeping your eyes at a fixed point so you can focus and keep stabilized. Keeping the foot flat on the floor, pressing the toes into the mat, and keeping the torso parallel to the floor. And last one, and coming up. So swapping legs over. So we've got our left leg as our working leg now, our right leg is slightly behind, little bend in the knee, and we're coming down, torso over the mat and coming up. So a little bend in that knee, pushing the toes into the mat, grasping the floor, and coming up. You can use the breath here as well. So as you're breathing in on the way down and breathing out on the way up, you should feel a really nice stretch in your hamstring, a nice stretch slash a nice burn as in your hamstring as you come down. So feeling that and coming up, and our last one, and coming up. And there's always, as I said before, there's going to be one side that's a little bit better than the other and one side that's a little bit more wobbly than the other. So coming down onto the mat for our back extension or back raise. So hands are at 45 degrees and we're just taking the hands up, squeezing those glutes, coming down and coming up, squeezing those glutes, coming in, using that breath. I would use the breath on the way up. Last two. And last one. So let's have a little breather. We've got one more set of both of those to do. Grab some water if you need it, and we will get back into it in a few seconds. So again, with the core exercises, it's, you're always going to have one side that works a little bit more efficiently than the other, but it's about taking the time and making sure that we're putting in the work on both sides. So with any exercise, really, you don't want to lift more on the stronger side and less on the weaker side. We want to lift the same amount. We don't want to have any imbalances in the body, but we want to make sure that we are utilizing the fact that we can do single sides so that we can even out those imbalances as time goes on. So that being said, let's get back into our single leg deadlift. Just gonna move my bottle. So again, feet hip width apart. We're gonna go for 30 seconds on each side. And we're starting with our right leg being our working leg. The left leg is gonna go back slightly. Hands can be on your hips, or you can have one hand out or both hands out. So I'm having my hands on my hips, 30 seconds from now, and we're going down into it. So here, torso comes parallel to the mat, so standing up nice and tall at the top of the movement. Using that breath, breathing in on the way down and breathing out on the way up. Breathing in on the way down and out on the way up, and swapping legs over. That was 30 seconds. So left leg is the working leg, right leg is just behind, and nice deep breath in and going down. And using that breath to push you up. Feeling that stretch in the hamstrings. I can feel the stretch so much more on my left side than I can my right, which means that my left is a lot tighter, which means it needs a little bit more stretching. Deep breath in and breathing out, and last one. And coming back down to the floor for our last back extension. So we're coming down, elbows at 45 degrees again, squeezing through those glutes, 30 seconds. So lifting up, nose to the mat. Using that breath. Squeezing the glutes in. And keeping your ears close to your hands as a guide. And last one. And then final one, we're going to push back onto the heels as close as you can get, just to stretch out the back after all the nice work that we've just done on it with our single leg deadlift and with our back extension. So we're going to have a little cool down now and just stretch out through the body. After all the tension that we just put through it, we're going to eke things out and have a little stretch. So the first stretch that we're actually going to do is we are going to do a forward fold. So we'll do a single-sided forward fold, just because sometimes going straight into both legs can be a bit challenging, and it might not feel as great if you're not, that flexible in the hamstrings. So what we're going to do is we're going to just reach down. So if you start with your hand on your thigh, and then we're just going to push the hand down towards the toe, or as far as it can go. Obviously you can grab your feet if you wanted to, or you can just go into here, but we're trying to keep a nice flat back as much as possible. Breathing in and breathing out, trying to come down into that stretch. So we should feel a bit of a stretch in our lower back here, a stretch in our hamstrings as well. So deep breath in and breathing out, and one more stretch, and bringing your body closer to that leg, and then swapping over. So just lengthening out those hamstrings again after those deadlifts. So deep breath in and breathing out. Again, grabbing the foot if that feels good for you. Deep breath in and breathing out. Nice deep breath and breathing out. And then we are going to go for a butterfly stretch or frog pose, depending on what you've heard it called before. So we're just going to let the knees drop out to the sides. We're going to lift the chest as much as possible for a nice flat back, And we're just going to lean forward just as far as we can go. Again, this is really nice for the lower back and for just creating a bit of space in there, and also really good for the hips too. So coming forwards, deep breath in, breathing out and letting it go. Deep breath in and breathing out. And last one, deep breath in and breathing out. And finally, we are going to go for our twist, which we did right at the beginning, just to create a little bit more space in there again. So you know the drill, right leg is bent and it goes over, the left leg is flat on the floor, and we're just bringing that right shoulder down to the floor as close as we can get it to the floor. So deep breath in as we're breathing out, just letting that shoulder relax down a little bit more. Deep breath in and breathing out. And last time, and breathing out. And then just shifting over if you need to give yourself a little bit more room, and the left knee goes over, and we're trying to get that left hip, the left shoulder rather, down to the floor. Deep breath in, nice deep spinal twist, and breathing out. Just using these nice moments of calm. And last one. And again, slowly, if you want to turn over onto your side into a fetal position, and then use your hands to bring you up to standing, then that is the nicest way to get up after working on that core. But that concludes the end of day 2. So well done for getting it done, and I will see you very, very soon in day 3.